Hello and welcome to Super Great Kids Stories, wise tales from storytellers around the world, which will make you laugh and sometimes cry. Recommended for ages 5 to 105. I'm Kim and I love stories. Today's story is Stone Soup, a European tale told by Anne Johnson. Hello, Super Great Kids, and how are you? Do you remember how to say hello, or literally I see you, in Zulu from last week's story? Well, it's Sanbonani. Can you remember that? Sanbonani. That'll impress your teacher. I hope you had a happy week. I'm happy because next weekend, Super Great David and I get to go to the Stealing Thunder Storytelling Festival. I'll be telling stories with Toop, Dominic Kelly and Shane Ibbs. Looking forward to seeing some of you there. Another reason to be cheerful is that we have a special storyteller to introduce you to today. She's from South London, she's called Anne Johnson, and she's going to tell you a beautiful European story called Stone Soup. Anne tells stories and writes songs, and her work involves bringing live storytelling and music into schools. She believes that children need stories and music and art in the same way that plants need sunshine and rain. So, for more than 20 years, she's run a charity called Everyday Magic, which takes storytellers like Kate Corkery, Anne Toop and Seth Townsend into state primary schools in London. What lucky children. Imagine having Toop or Kate or Seth arrive in your classroom regularly to tell you stories. Hurrah for Anne and for Everyday Magic. If you'd like to know more about her work, go to www.everydaymagic.org.uk. You can find that link on our website. We'll hear from Anne in a minute, but just before her story, I have a little challenge for you, while we have a quick word with the grown-ups. If a storyteller was coming into your school, which story would you like them to tell and why? For example, you might like Anansi and the Hot Pepper Soup because of the song. Remember? The king likes the soup, the queen likes the soup, Anansi likes the soup, Anansi likes the soup. Or you might like the Irish story Eggshell Soup because of the wrinkled green fairy saying, "I want whiskey, I want tobacco," in a funny husky voice. Or you might like Baba Yaga's breakfast, so you could join in with Baba Yaga, huh, huh, as she chases Vasilisa. So you get the idea. Choose a story which you'd like to hear if a storyteller came into your school. Ready? Off you go. Hello, Super Great Kids. I'm back. Did you think of a story you'd like to hear in your school and why? Maybe you could draw a picture of it or even have a go at telling it yourself. Do let us know which story you'd like and why via our website, supergreatkidstories.com. Are you ready? Let's give a very warm welcome to Anne Johnson from the charity Everyday Magic. Snip, snap, snout, story jump out.
Times were hard, very hard. There was once a family, mother, father, and 2 children. They lived in a small cottage in the woods. One day, the man who owned the cottage and the land it was built on arrived at their door. Knock, knock. Open up. Collect your things and leave this place. I want you out by midnight. Nothing they could say would change his mind. And the little family piled their belongings onto the back of their poor old horse, and they set off through the woods. They slept under the trees that night. The mother had a small drum, and she played and sang to stop the children feeling frightened. And the father made a small fire with sticks from the forest to keep them warm and keep fierce animals away. They had very little food, but luckily it was the season of autumn, and there were blackberries on the bushes. There were also some apple trees in the forest, so they had something to eat, and the little streams that ran through the forest were clean, so they had water to drink.
We're on a wagon in the forest. No need to weep, no need to cry. Don't worry, children, we're together. All will be well by and by. Hear the birds are singing. Watch them soar and fly. See the white clouds floating up in the blue, blue sky. Come, let us sing together. Send our voices high. The trees will give us shelter. We'll find a home by and by.
But the winds grew colder, the nights grew longer, the trees dropped their leaves and the bushes were bare. We must leave the forest, said Father, and find a town where we might get help. They walked and they walked and they walked. The poor old horse was so hungry and tired. The family took the bundles from the horse's back so he did not have to carry them. Just as they were about to leave the forest, they came across a tiny old woman sitting on the ground. They stopped to ask her, could they help her? "Oh, do let me ride on your horse. I am very light and I'm very tired." The mother and father said to her, "We have not very much food at all, and the horse is so tired, but we will help you as best we can." The tiny old woman said, "You will not regret it. I will help you." They travelled on, and the horse seemed not to mind the tiny old woman on his back. They came to a town. They heard the dogs barking and were afraid. "Don't be afraid," said the old woman. "I will make sure they do not harm us." And she whistled several high notes, and the dogs sat down and did not bark. They came to the market square, and the tiny old woman said, "Let us stop in the middle and camp here. We'll make a fire, and you put your cooking pot onto the flames and fill it with some fresh water from the fountain, and we will cook supper." "But we have nothing to cook," said Mother. The little old woman took some clean stones from her pocket and said, "Put them into the pot and get out your little drum and we shall sing." Mother did just that.
Sitting here together under the night sky, telling our stories, singing our songs, laughing and talking, eating and drinking, happy together, getting along.
And soon they felt quite merry sitting around the fire and singing. Soon the people of the town came out to see. They asked, "What are you cooking?" The tiny old woman said, "We are cooking stone soup. I will just taste it to see how it's getting on." She tasted the soup with a long spoon. She said, "I think it needs a few vegetables." A woman and a man from the town said, "We have a few vegetables to go into the pot. We'll bring them to you if we can join you. We like singing and nothing jolly ever happens in this town." They brought the vegetables, and the little old woman put them into the pot. Soon she tasted it again. I think it needs a little meat. The town butcher was standing around. He said, I have some meat to spare. And he brought it, and it went into the pot. Soon people were coming out to sit around the fire and bring ingredients for the pot. The pot was bubbling, and a most delicious smell drifted over the town square. Let's all eat, said Father. Everyone brought out a bowl and spoon, and soon everyone was saying how delicious stone soup was. And the people of the town said, You must all stay and live here, and every week we will have a stone soup party here in the market square. And that is just what they did.
Sitting here together under the night sky, telling our stories, singing our songs, laughing and talking, eating and drinking, happy together, getting along. Help each other, it's a good thing to do. When we help each other, we'll make new friends, happy together, getting along. Help each other, it's a good thing to do. When we help each other, we'll make new friends, happy together, getting along.
Oh, thank you so much, Anne. What a thoughtful story. I'm glad the family found a new place to live and friends to share stories with. Do you think you'd be welcoming to someone who's newly arrived in your hometown who didn't know anyone? I think you would. And here's my question. Do you think the old woman had magic powers to help get that soup made? Or is she maybe a kind of trickster? You decide. I love the way Anne put harmony underneath her song at the end there. Do you know what harmony is? Harmony is the sound created when a song is sung with different notes and usually different voices, but all sung at the same time. The notes are different, but they sound good together. I suppose it's a bit like eating banana and chocolate spread or peanut butter and jam at the same time. And here's a fun fact. The story of stone soup is told all over Europe, but there's one town in Portugal called Almeirim where people claim that story came from. And you can actually eat stone soup in all the cafes there. Now, it's time to say hello to some owlets who've recently joined our storytelling club. So, let's spread our wings and fly around the world with Story Owl to meet our new owlets. Let's begin in Surrey. Not the one near London in the UK, but the Surrey in British Columbia in Canada, where we hoot hello to Maya Dillon, who is 8 and listens every morning on the drive to school. She enjoys all of the stories, but she says she might like Rainbird from Southern Africa just a bit more than all the others. Yes, Rainbird is a moving story, I agree. And it paints a good picture in our imagination with a brightly coloured bird opening her wings to start the rain. I wonder if you could send a picture of that story, Maya. And staying in Canada, let's flip-flap-fly to Edmonton in Alberta to greet 7-year-old Maya, who's been listening to Super Great Kids stories for about 2.5 years. Maya loves the Anansi stories best of all. She's homeschooled and starts her day listening to a story while sketching or colouring pictures. Ooh, what a lovely way to start the day. And heading south next, let's go to Oakland in California to say hello to Cosima, who is 6.5, and Esme, who is 4.5, who've been listening to Super Great Kids Stories for 3 years. They love to hear stories by Kate Corkery and Toop, and recently enjoyed the story about the cheeky cockerel. Cosima has sent us a great picture of that cockerel, pecking at the ground with beautiful brightly coloured tail feathers. Just lovely. We've posted it on our Facebook picture gallery, facebook.com/supergreatkidsstories. And staying in California, let's head to Santa Barbara now to greet owlets 7-year-old India and Teo. India loves all the Baba Yaga stories, and Teo loves Jack and the Two-Headed Giant and all of the Anansi stories. Very good choices. And let's head east across the US to New York now to greet 7-year-old owlet Ella Wren from Brooklyn. Her favourite stories are The Ghost of the Bloody Finger and Eggshell Soup. She does a very funny impression of the changeling, saying,
I want whiskey. I want tobacco.
Well, Ella, you obviously like funny stories, and so do I. And up to Washington now to greet new owlets Atticus and Fiona. Fiona, who is 6, loves The Ghost of the Bloody Finger, and Atticus, who's 9, has a soft spot for those whistling giants. But both are happy to listen to any of the stories, says their mum, who also explains that they've been waiting very patiently to join the Owlet Club. Well, well done for waiting. Patience pays off in the end, and here you are. Welcome to the club. And let's flip-flap-fly back to London in the UK now to greet Angelo, who is 4, and baby sister Indigo. Angelo and Indigo love all the Anansi trickster stories and all of the scary stories. You're both very brave. Well done. And staying in the UK, let's say hello to twin owlets Leia and Zoe, who are 6 years old. They love listening to stories on every car journey. Leia's favourite stories are the Anansi stories, especially Anansi and the Magic Yams. And she's recently learned to tell the hairy toe. Hurrah! Well done, Leia. And Zoe's favourites are the Coyote stories, especially Coyote and Bluebird, told by Nick Hennessy. Yes, I love that story too, Zoe. I wonder if you could draw a picture of that story. And let's head up to the beautiful north of England now, where I come from, to visit 5-year-old Summer, who's recently joined the Owlets Club. Summer is 5 and lives in Manchester. She loves listening to Super Great Kids stories while eating breakfast and when going on long car rides. She also loves playing in the garden with her 2 sausage dogs, Yaya and Kolo. Have you tried telling those dogs any stories, Summer? My dog Pip loved having me tell her stories. And staying in Europe, let's head to the sunny island of Malta to greet owlets Charlotte, who is 8, and Thomas, who is 6. Charlotte has been waiting to become an owlet for several years now, and she was given this gift subscription from her friends Evie and Emma for her 8th birthday. What a lovely birthday present. Thank you, Evie and Emma. Charlotte's favourite stories are Anansi and the Hot Pepper Soup and the Rainbird. And Charlotte and Thomas both loved the story The Hairy Toe. Very brave of you. And up to Sweden now to greet owlet Enya, who is 7. Her favourite story is The Ghost of the Bloody Finger. She lives in Sweden, but Enya is from Ireland and listens with her mum at bedtime. That sounds like a special moment. I wonder if you get to swim in many lakes living in Sweden, Enya. I'm visiting friends in Sweden this summer and I do hope to do lots of outdoor swimming. And let's head back across the Atlantic Ocean to southeast Virginia in the US to greet Owlets, Sebastian, Teddy and Sophia. Sebastian has just turned 4 and he loves all the Baba Yaga stories. And Teddy, who's 2, likes the belly button monster and enjoys saying, "Give me back my belly button." And then there's Sophia, who's 1. And she likes any story with a song in it because she just loves to dance. And across to Brooklyn in New York, where Roger, who is 8, and 7-year-old Joseph listen on very long drives all the way to and from Florida. And sometimes they listen before bedtime. Roger loves the Anansi stories, especially Anansi and the Drum of Common Sense. And Joseph loves the scary stories, especially, you've guessed it, the Ghost of the Bloody Finger. And heading way south now, let's fly to Fairlie in New Zealand to greet Owlets, Cleo, who is 7, and her big brother Max, who is 10. They particularly enjoy listening to stories on long car journeys. Cleo's favourite is the Hairy Toe. And let's fly to the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia to say hoo 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 to 8-year-old Lola Grace and Poppy May, who is 4. They both love listening to Super Great Kids stories on car journeys. Poppy's favourite is The Eagle Who Thought He Was a Chicken and The Rainbird. And Lola's favourite is The Ghost of the Bloody Finger and How the Lion Dance Became. And they all enjoyed and laughed a lot at the belly button monster. That's it for Owler Welcomes this week. Welcome all of you. We really appreciate your support. More stories next week. And our Pick of the Week picture goes to 7-year-old Ethan from Narrabeen in Sydney in Australia. Thanks for sharing your version of The Ghost of the Bloody Finger with us all, Ethan. It is so imaginative. We especially like the way you've drawn the broken planks of wood to show that the house was empty and old. And the man sitting upright in bed looks so terrified with his eyes wide open and all those lines coming out of his head to accentuate his terror. You've really captured that story and its humour well. Thank you for sharing your picture with us. If you'd like to share a picture, you can send it via our website, supergreatkidsstories.com, or through Meta to our Facebook page. And thanks to all of you who are subscribing to our podcast. A very small percentage of our listeners subscribe, so we really appreciate those of you who feel you can support us. If you subscribe on Patreon, you get a choice of 2 tiers, £3 a month, less than $4 to get advert-free and access to all the scary stories. And if you pay for the next tier up, which costs £6, that's about $8, you'll get advert-free, plus over 50 bonus stories and all the Super Great Scary Stories. Plus, you'll get access to our Super Great Kids Stories Express, which cuts straight to the story. Great for listening to stories back to back. And if you subscribe on Apple, it's £6 a month and you get all of those perks. Visit our website for more details at supergreatkidsstories.com. And you'll notice this week that David has posted another Best of Super Great Kids Stories from our archive. This month, it's The Owl Girls and the Witch, a story from Argentina, which also you can find in our Super Great Stories book when it comes out in the fall. That's it for now. See some of you next weekend in the Lake District. Keep telling your stories and singing your songs and have a happy week. This podcast was produced by Kim Normanton and David Smith at Wardour Studios in fabulous Fitzrovia in London.